Hello there, and welcome to U-Talk. We highlight stories across Canada, the diverse cultures and communities living here, and organizations that help make life the best it can be for Canada-born and new Canadians. I'm your host, Ryan Funk. Finding a job can be a challenge, even more so during a pandemic. When you're constantly looking for a job but can't find anything, it can be incredibly disheartening. That's where opportunities for employment can help. Lisandra Lopez is a facilitator and employment consultant at OFE. She took time out of her busy day to talk about how OFE can help job seekers and employers to create long-term sustainable matches and grow Winnipeg's labor market.
Well, OFE, or Opportunities for Employment, is an employment services agency that has been around since 1996. We are government funded and we provide free employment services to job seekers in Winnipeg. Now, that includes newcomers, refugees, persons with a disability, mature workers, ex-offenders, employment income assistance recipients, and people who are without any financial support at the moment. So pretty much anyone who's looking for employment and they are between they're either 18 years old or up, they can access our services. So now our services include assessing, equipping, and connecting our clients. And so what we do is when a client, or we call them participants, when our participant or a job seeker comes to us, we assess their skills just to see where they're at and identify any skill gaps that they may have. Then we proceed to equip them by, in some cases, depending on the need of the participant, we may schedule them for a variety of learning opportunities to address those skill gaps and to set them, to get them ready and improve their overall employability. And once the client is equipped and ready to find employment, then we connect them with employers who are hiring, and we help them expand their network through employer events that we host at OFE and through the partnerships that we have developed with employers in the community.
It's really great to have services like this to help everyone, because, it's never good to see people without work. Mm-hmm. People want to work at the end of the day.
Absolutely, yes.
Keep themselves busy. So in terms of newcomers, what sorts of languages do you offer your services in?
Well, Ryan, our services are offered in English. We do not provide services in French. And we do have staff from very multicultural and diverse background. So most of our staff, we speak so many different languages. Like, for example, myself, my first language is Spanish. So let's say if a job seeker comes to us and they speak English, but and they can communicate, but sometimes, they might just struggle a little bit and they kind of want to make sure they need some, clarification. We can intervene and help out with that in their first language if possible, but they need to be able to communicate in English in order to access our services, because we're trying to get them ready to find employment, and employers need them to be able to understand, communicate, follow instructions for safety,
Yeah, so having those English language skills already is a great benefit and kind of a necessity to get into the workforce then.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
What about students? Does OFE offer employment training for them?
Yes, if they're looking for part-time employment and they have availability to work, we can also assist them. Now, for example, with international students, as long as they have a work permit, or I know that right now their student permit allows them to work 20 hours off campus. If they have all of their documents ready, then we can definitely assist them. Especially, we see that a lot of students come to us closer to the summer because then they're looking for a full-time job during the summer. So we can help them with that, definitely. They just need to make sure that they're study permit is valid for more than 6 months so that we're able to work with them. That's the only requirement that we ask they meet.
Looking over your website, when you bring in these participants, it talks about an action plan. What does that look like?
We call it OFE Job Search Action Plan, and it is a guide to an effective job search. So basically, it helps guide the client or the job seeker step by step in their job search process. As a participant moves through the levels of the action plan has different levels. They will gain new tools and skills by participating in different activities that will help them their job search be more effective. It is meant also to help them get more interviews and job offers, and also get them faster, because we want to reduce the number of days that it takes for a job seeker to find employment. So oftentimes what happens is job seekers tend to just stare at a computer screen, just wondering, how do I get started? But with our action plan, the quicker they progress through the levels, the sooner they will be leaving OFE with a brand new job.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that. Just looking at a screen, looking through job applications and applying, like it can be exhausting sometimes.
Yes, definitely, and sometimes, like, again, you see all the requirements, and sometimes you wonder, like, how can I market myself? Is anyone really reading my application? Is this is there a real human being reading my resume? What are the chances that I can, or how can I improve my chances to be selected and be called or invited for an interview? So we address all those questions with the action plan, and we make it easier for the job seeker to be a little bit more independent in their job search. And also they have our support for sure, but we want to equip the client. We don't want to make the client dependable, but independent in their job search, so that, in the future, if they want to change careers, they know how to do it and how to really market their skills.
So how does OFE help connect participants with employers and employers with participants? How does that work? What does that process look like?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So we have staff whose main job is to liaise with employers in the community. They're called employer liaisons. So our employer liaisons, what they do is they work closely with employers who are actively hiring. So they try to source those job leads and bring them to OFE. But in addition to that, they also develop relationships with these employers. They learn what the employer is looking for in successful candidates, like what kind of skills they need. And we also offer free recruitment services. So we help pretty much. We make it easier for the employer to hire these participants by training the participants based on the needs and the skills that the employer is looking for. So this way, we're able to present a good employer with a very well-prepared job seeker, and that's when the magic happens. So in the past, we've been able to develop very strong relationships with large employers in the city. For example, Canada Goose is one of them, Palliser, and even last year during the pandemic, OFE was able to, OFE was ready and able to respond to the needs of the community by partnering with Shared Health to help them recruit a large number of uncertified healthcare aides, because we needed to respond to the high demand for health supports professionals in the community. So that's pretty much how we do it. We approach the employers, we identify what their needs are, and then we proceed to train our participants through a rapid response training format, and then we connect them with those employers.
Yeah, seeing those openings in the job market to help fill them. Yeah,
Absolutely.
just kind of being very flexible.
Yes, we try to identify where the demand is. So we're going with an in-demand kind of approach. So we identify those sectors where most of the job leads are, and then we try to, again, build those relationships with employers just to help our job seekers get employed faster.
Yeah, so working with find those uncertified healthcare workers to get into that area. What are some other current job trends that OFE is seeing right now in the job market?
Well, right now, out of the 148 active job leads that we have, manufacturing has by far the most demand. Is the higher sector right now, and I think it has a lot to do with the pandemic. Retail is predictably the least. So, for example, manufacturing right now, it's 39%. It's 39% of all the job leads. Like 59 of our job positions right now are in the manufacturing sector. Then we have contact center in second place with 26% of all job leads. Then health services with 20%. And retail services being the least, 15%. So we think that the low demand in retail is obviously because of the restrictions and pandemic related. But in terms of manufacturing, what is happening is consumers are purchasing faster than producers can deliver. So that leads to a growth in their sector, and therefore they need, there is a higher demand for labor. So that's why manufacturing right now, it's pretty much taking number one in most of the jobs that we're getting at OFE.
You mentioned, helping these participants and job seekers or market themselves to stand out. So what are some of the best ways to kind of improve their chances of employment, kind of just making their resume stand out from the rest of the papers on the table?
Well, for that, we have a number of workshops, employment workshops that we offer. We have a workshop that is very, very popular, and it's called self-marketing preparation. So during this workshop, which by the way is 1 week long, only half days, we train the participant on how to answer interview questions, how to really address what the employer is trying to, the information that the employer is trying to get whenever they ask specific questions. We also train them on how to tailor their resumes, because sometimes, for example, let me use a newcomer participant as an example. Let's say they come from a country where they're used to putting their picture on the resume. And so when they come to Canada, if they're not aware of the differences, I have seen resumes with pictures on it. And we know that here, that's not common. We don't do that. That's one of the cases. In other cases, a resume may be 5 or 6 pages long. And so we help the participant tailor that and say, okay, so if you have this vast experience, or you have a very diverse type of skill set, let's just break it down. And instead of having one resume that you're sending for every single job that you're applying, let's just create 2 resumes, like targeted to different sectors or different jobs, depending on what they're looking for. So that's one of the things that we do to help our participants increase their chances of getting selected for interviews. And we also train them so that once they get the interview, they are ready. They know what to do. We know job interviews can be, nerve-wracking, like especially for someone who comes from another country that may not be so used to the Canadian interview style. So we want to get them ready, because if you don't know what to expect, your chances of really selling yourself and presenting yourself well to an employer will be low. But if you know the expectations, if you are prepared, then you know how to meet those expectations. And obviously, your chances will be higher, definitely. So that's one of the ways that we help our clients, especially our newcomers, get ready for employment.
And I know we talked about this from the newcomer perspective, but this sort of information can help anyone that is looking for employment, trying to market yourself and kind of tailor your resume, cover letter, and get prepared for those interviews, kind of tailor it to the job that you're going into.
Absolutely, absolutely. As I mentioned before, we not only work with newcomer clients, we work with Canadian citizens, people who have been here in Canada as a permanent resident for many years. And it doesn't matter where you come from. The need to find employment is the same. Sometimes the questions repeat between, from newcomer clients to clients who were born here in Canada. They have similar questions, and sometimes they have similar needs too. So we are here, OFE is there to meet those needs, to address those skill gaps, and to help them feel more comfortable, more encouraged in their job search, and ready for employment.
Early in our conversation, you were talking about the importance of having that English language skill for newcomers when they're meeting up with employers. If their language skill isn't great, what sort of general courses or classes or workshops would be beneficial for immigrants?
It depends on the Canadian language benchmark or CLB level that they have. But for example, for participants whose English level is low, say below CLB 4, we have other programs like the Manufacturing Employment Program. This is an initiative that was created initially for refugees only, and it was called the READY program. And so in some cases, we'll identify what the need is, and in terms of language, we try to cater to the gap in the language. We try to train the participant based on the English for work, based on that kind of like the language skill that they need for work. So we train them in the language component, and then we train them based on what they're going to experience in the workplace. And we're doing that mainly in the for the manufacturing sector. So in partnership with MITT, we are having this program, the READY program, and it has been very successful so far. But if a client is looking for a job in other sectors that doesn't require a high level of language proficiency, like for example, let's say if someone is looking for an entry-level job or a job that in housekeeping or retail that may not require that high level, we can consider that, and basically we'll consider what level is required for the job for the job goal that the client has, and then we'll consider if we can take them in and help them achieve that goal.
So OFE offers their services to a wide array of people. How many people are we seeing utilize these services yearly?
Well, yearly we're able to help and place over 2,000 people to employment. But since we're pretty much addressing this to a newcomer audience, I want to give you some numbers about newcomers. Like, for example, obviously right now things have changed because of the pandemic, but we currently have 200 newcomers at OFE. In 2020, we had a total of 600 over the year, because there were much fewer landings in Manitoba due to the pandemic. But pre-pandemic, our average annual number was 1,500 newcomers only. So imagine our number is definitely higher because we not only work with newcomers, so we see a lot of people going through our doors on an annual basis. And out of those, our goal is to be able to place and help above 2,000 people to employment, to find employment.
Great to see people utilizing these services to find work. It just shows the desire for people to, be a working member of society.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely agree with you 100%.
So, how do people access your services?
Right now, because of the restrictions, we're trying to discourage in-person registration. But normally, before the pandemic, and once the restrictions relax a little bit in the province, we'll go back to our previous format, which was we had continuous intake. Our participants or any interested job seeker didn't have to book an appointment. They could just come to OFE. We are open from Monday to Friday from 8 o'clock to 4 p.m. So they could come between those hours and register with us. But right now, because of the restrictions and the pandemic, and we're trying to work in a COVID safe manner, we encourage anyone who's interested to visit our website at www.ofe.ca. We have a feature called the live chat. So it will just pop up and they will be able to chat with one of our employment services advisors. They can answer the questions through the live chat. And also we have a feature on the website where it says register now. They can click that and answer the questions and complete. Some of them can complete the registration form through our website, but if not, they can book the appointments through the live chat, or they can phone our main number, which is 204-925-3490. They can phone that number and book an appointment so that they can come in and fill out our registration form.
Is there anything else that you would like to add?
For anyone who's looking for employment, basically we have employment workshops to address any need. Like if they need to improve their computer skills, we offer computer literacy programs. We have a program called Canadian Workplace Culture, which is tailored to help the newcomers understand the expectations in Canada, how to find a job in Canada, how to be successful in the workplace, and not only find a job, but retain the job. So we're focused on employment retention mainly. And we also have other short trainings for those participants who need a specific certificate to find employment, like, for example, CPR and first aid, NVCM, nonviolence conflict management. And those trainings are free of charge. You don't have to pay anything to access our services. We are government funded, as I mentioned at the beginning, and all of these services are free. If they go somewhere else for a CPR and first training, they will have to pay. But if they're using our services and taking advantage of these opportunities that we are able to provide to them, all of this training, all of this preparation will be totally free to them. So I definitely encourage anyone who's hearing this podcast to come to OFE. The benefits there are multiple benefits that they can, achieve by using our services. And we will be happy to welcome them and provide them the services that they deserve.
If you have any stories you'd like us to share or communities we should highlight, leave a comment on our social media or reach out to us on our website. I'm Ryan Funk. This was You Talk, and have yourself a good one.